The knives are out. Starmer faces unprecedented crisis as Labour crashes to third place, and May 2026 becomes his moment of maximum jeopardy. 18 months ago, Keir Starmer stood triumphant after delivering Labour's biggest electoral landslide in modern history. Today, he's presiding over the most catastrophic political collapse in British political history. His approval rating sits at a devastating -61%, the worst ever recorded for a British Prime Minister. Labour trails Reform UK in national polls, having plummeted from 34% at election to just 18.5%, the worst position for Labour since records began in 1983 under Michael Foot. Half the British public believes Starmer will be gone by the end of 2026. Bookies make it 4 to 6 odds on that he'll no longer be Labour leader by year's end. Anonymous Labour sources admit campaigning to replace him isn't just happening, it's accelerating. And the date circled in red by every Labour MP plotting his demise? May 7, 2026, the local and devolved elections that represent what insiders are calling Starmer's moment of maximum jeopardy. This isn't just a bad patch for a struggling government. This is a prime minister fighting for his political survival against his own party, his own ministers, and an electorate that's turned on him with unprecedented fury. The question isn't whether Starmer can recover. The question is whether he can even survive the next 4 months. The numbers don't lie. Historic collapse. Let's start with the cold, brutal facts that are driving Labour MPs into open panic. Recent YouGov surveys show only 18% of Britons view Starmer favorably, with even a majority of 2024 Labour voters now disapproving of his performance. Think about that. People who voted for him less than 2 years ago have already turned against him. Labour begins 2026 at 18.5% in the polls, its worst position since monthly averages were first calculated in 1983. For context, that was when Michael Foot led Labour to its worst ever general election defeat, winning just 209 seats. Starmer's Labour is now polling worse than that disaster. The latest Westminster YouGov poll shows Reform UK at 27%, Conservatives at 20%, Labour at 18.5%, Liberal Democrats at 14.1%, and Greens at 13.9%. Labour has collapsed from first place to third in just 18 months. In some polls, they're in fourth place, behind the Greens. This is unprecedented. No governing party in modern British history has fallen this far this fast. If an election were held today, Reform UK would win a narrow majority with 330 seats. Labour would win just 82 seats, down from 411. That's a loss of 329 Labour MPs. 329 Labour MPs would lose their jobs tomorrow if there were an election. Starmer's net approval is at -61, with 76 negative and 15 positive. To put this in perspective, Boris Johnson resigned when his approval hit -40. Liz Truss was forced out at -50. Starmer is now deeper in negative territory than any prime minister in recorded polling history, and he's still clinging to power. May 7, 2026, the date that could end his premiership. Why is everyone obsessed with May 7th? Because that's when the electoral reckoning arrives. Elections take place for the Scottish Parliament, Welsh Senate, and numerous local authorities across England, including all 32 London borough councils. This isn't just any set of local elections. These are the contests that will expose Labour's weakness across the entire United Kingdom, and the projections are apocalyptic. Wales, Labour's crown jewel, could fall. In Wales, where Labour holds power at both levels, the party risks losing control of the Senedd for the first time since 1999, facing stiff competition from Plaid Cymru and Reform UK. Labour has governed Wales continuously since devolution began. Losing the Senedd would be a nuclear-level humiliation. Plaid Cymru, who want Welsh independence, lead in the polls, followed closely by Reform UK, with Welsh Labour and Conservatives far back in third and fourth place. The BBC reported that the mood in Welsh Labour is beyond bleak, as the party contemplates the unthinkable, losing devolved power after 27 years. The problem for Labour is what's being called double incumbency. They govern in both Cardiff and Westminster, making it impossible to blame anyone else. Every failure lands squarely on Labour's doorstep. Scotland, SNP majority with reform surging. In Scotland, the independents advocating SNP remain ahead, but reform support is on the rise, while Labour support slumps. Scotland seems on the cusp of electing an SNP majority in a system specifically designed to prevent any single party from winning outright. Reform UK are second behind the SNP, Scottish Labour are third, with the Conservatives a distant fourth. Labour's dream of reviving Scottish Labour is dead. They're being squeezed between nationalist left and populist right. England, the capital, could turn blue. Elections for all councillors in all 32 London boroughs will be held. Labour currently controls most urban English councils. The projections suggest massive losses across the board. Reform UK won sweeping victories in the 2025 local elections, placing first, winning the most seats, and taking control of numerous local authorities. Labour finished fourth, the first time Labour finished fourth in a local election. If that's repeated or worsened in 2026, the political earthquake will be impossible to ignore. The internal revolt, campaigning to replace him, is happening. Here's where the story gets truly explosive. Labour MPs aren't just worried about the May elections, they're actively plotting to remove Starmer before May to avoid the slaughter. A senior Labour figure admitted to the BBC, "I wouldn't pretend campaigning to replace him isn't happening. That's not spin, that's confirmation that the knives are already out." Why before May? Because if Labour waits until after the elections, they'll lose hundreds of councillors and devolved parliament members who form the backbone of local campaigns. Those people vote in Labour leadership elections. Lose them, and the plotters lose crucial supporters. Wes Streeting, the ambitious health secretary seen as a frontrunner in the event of a leadership contest, could miss his window of opportunity if he does not make a move to replace Starmer before the local elections in May, Labour MPs told Bloomberg. Think about that. Starmer's own health secretary is being urged by fellow MPs to strike before May or risk missing his chance for the top. The plotting isn't theoretical, it's tactical. MPs are already talking about holding a leadership election in summer 2026 in the aftermath of expected big Labour defeats in English local elections and devolved elections in Scotland and Wales. The timeline is set, the plan is in motion. Wes Streeting, the heir apparent denying his ambition. Health Secretary Streeting is identified as the name spoken of most widely as a potential successor, alongside Greater Manchester Mayor Burnham, Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood, and others. Streeting has become the favorite to replace Starmer for several reasons. He's young, 42, charismatic, working class from East London, openly gay, a cancer survivor who connects emotionally with voters on NHS issues, and crucially, he's on the right of the Labour Party, making him acceptable to the centrist MPs who hold the balance of power. At minus 54 points in a recent poll, Starmer has become the most unpopular PM ever. One key event that marked his card was a miscarried political operation, picking an unprovoked fight a few weeks ago with his characterful health secretary Wes Streeting, a deft communicator who does human, unlike the boss. Let's decode that. Downing Street tried to undermine Streeting with hostile anonymous briefings late last year. It backfired spectacularly, making Starmer look weak and paranoid while raising Streeting's profile. The attempted hit job revealed Starmer's fear of his own health secretary. Streeting has publicly denied any ambition to challenge Starmer, telling BBC Breakfast, "I cannot see under any circumstances in which I would do that to our Prime Minister." He even joked that anonymous briefers had watched too much Celebrity Traitors. But denying ambition is Leadership Challenge 101. Tony Blair denied wanting to replace John Smith. Brown denied plotting against Blair. Boris Johnson denied plotting against Theresa May. They all said the same thing Streeting's saying now: "I'm loyal to the leader." and they all became Prime Minister. Bookmakers have made Wes Streeting 7-2 favorite to replace Starmer permanently, ahead of Angela Rayner at 9-2. The betting markets aren't stupid. They see what everyone in Westminster sees. Streeting is positioning himself for the top job. The problem for Streeting is timing. If he moves too early, he looks disloyal and could lose. If he waits until after May, the electoral carnage might make him unelectable as leader of a dying party. He's in a political trap of his own making. Andy Burnham, the outsider plotting his return. Then there's Andy Burnham, the Greater Manchester mayor who's been eyeing the top job for over a decade. Burnham is said to have pinpointed a nailed-on seat after talks with anti-Starmer Labour MPs, with a number of potential options open to him. Here's the context. He's not currently an MP. He's been mayor of Greater Manchester since 2017.